What is up? Welcome to this week's episode of Lambgoat's Vanflip podcast. This week we are joined by Paul and Victor, drummer and bassist of the band, hardcore band Missing Link. Is it a hardcore crossover band? It's somewhere in between there, isn't it?
I don't know, something like that.
Well, we never really
Whatever you want
have
to call it.
we never really have just the rhythm section of a band. Usually it's like a vocalist or a guitar player or something like that. So we're lucky to have, the foundation of Missing Link sitting in with us today. So how are you guys doing today?
Great.
Not bad.
If you want to introduce yourself and let everyone know exactly what you do in the band,
Paul, you go first, and I'll follow up every time you talk, so that way we're not just
All right, cool. I'm Paul. I play drums. And I didn't know. Yeah, that's it. My name's Paul. I played the drums.
I'm Victor. I play bass. Started with guitar, but switched over to bass because it was just all guitar players, and someone had to draw the short straw.
well, I was going to say maybe you thought it was easier maybe to transition from guitar to bass because I think it's
You got that
easier.
right. You got that right. It's a lot more fun.
The guys playing guitars are a little bit better. Be honest here.
All right, dude.
So Missing Link, how long is because again, like we said before the podcast, we just kind of got aware of you like I think within the last year or so, and that was because you guys maybe announced the tour with Magnitude and everything like that, which I think is about to
June.
yeah,
End
it's
of
about
June.
to kick off or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's kind of when you popped up on our radar. But with the always trying to kind of bolster hardcore, we try to put a little bit more hardcore on Lambgoat in the last couple of years than it has been. So that's kind of why we're running into all these newer bands and such like that, like yourself. So let's kind of like go through the history of like how Missing Link, came to be and how you guys came into the band and whatnot.
Basically, it was a COVID band. I knew Victor from I played in another band called World of Pain. When I lived in San Diego for a long period of time, and I met him. I really met him through that band. I met him before. I played in an old. I'm from upstate New York. I played in another old band called Recon, and I. Uh, I played lots of shows with Victor's old bands, but I can't remember. That's my bad. I have a bad memory. Uh, but
Yeah, I have old flyers. It's like us opening all the shows and then Recon on the top.
yeah, and like so I knew Victor, and we were just chatting through COVID and stuff like that because I'm a barber, and I was just off of work for months on it, and he was like, "Yo, I got these songs like." And he sent them to me. I was like, yeah, these are cool. And I was like, he's like, you want to do a band? I was like, sure. He's like, who do you want to be in the band? And Victor lives on Long Island, and I had played a bunch of shows with that band Separated. So their guitar player, Evan, he was like, well, have Evan play guitar, I'll play guitar, and then we'll get my homie Nick to play bass, and then our buddy Mike to sing, who lives in Rochester.
Mm.
And that was really it. It was just kind of like, let's fucking run it type of thing.
Interesting. So is Recon kind of like old news, or is it just kind of on the back burner hiatus situation?
Recon is basically just me and Mike, the guitar player. He is in the Casey strain now.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, we did all the touring that we did and played all the shows and everything, and I got burnt out, and I was like, I don't really want to tour that much, and then we just stopped. So there was no like thing, and we play like a show a year. We'll get asked to play some show, and if we can make it work, we'll make it work. I think the last one we did was in Albany with like the as original as we can lineup of the band, and yeah, so we talk all the time. We talk about doing like new songs, like a couple new songs, just me and him, just kind of jamming it out and stuff. But he's hella busy, and I'm super busy too. So whenever it works out, we'll make something happen. He's like one of my best buds. So
So yeah, back burner.
yeah, type
Yeah.
of thing. I mean, it's shit. It's been on the back burner since what, 2010,
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, maybe one day, So COVID, so COVID happens. You guys roll into this new project. So like, are you getting together in person, or are you just well, obviously you already had songs already, kind of in the bank or
Yeah.
whatnot, but like, so when did you guys start like getting in a room and kind of cranking some stuff out and realizing like, oh, this could be like the next thing that I invest my time in outside of like, day jobs or other projects?
Um, honestly, man, as a band, we've maybe sat in a room all together 3 or 4
6 times.
times. Six
Like
times,
total.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has not been a lot, just because I live in Massachusetts. I'm like 3 hours from Long Island, and our singer's in Rochester is like 6 hours or something.
Mm.
So, uh, we like got together, kind of redid a little bit of the stuff Victor originally wrote, like the first 3 songs we put out. Um, we kind of reworked it like a little bit, but not much, and like that was really it. We were like, screw it, let's put this stuff out and see what happens. And that was that was really about it. I don't even think shows were happening at the time.
You guys have, I mean, obviously you've played shows since then, but I mean,
Yeah.
you guys not being in the same room that many times, it's kind of wild that you guys, linked up with the European Takeover Triple B tour, and that's gonna be, is that gonna be kind of like your first kind of like run as a band for like multiple dates?
No, I mean we've done weekends and stuff. We've done like 3 4 day weekends. We've done, I think, 1 or 2 on the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
We've done, a bunch in the Northeast. I mean, we started, I don't remember when our first show was, but it was a couple years ago.
Rochester.
Yeah, it was in Rochester. I just don't remember the date. Um, but we've done a ton of shows and everything like that. We played like the FYA pre-show. We
Mm,
played Tied Down last year. Bunch of stuff, like a lot of weekend stuff. This will be the
okay.
longest run for sure.
I got you. So when you, because when earlier when you say you're like, oh, we've been in the room 6 times together,
Yeah, yeah.
that kind of made me think like, oh, okay, well then they maybe not have been playing shows or that many shows, sporadically at one after another.
We
No, we just
it's basically our shows are our practice almost. Like we
yeah,
all
yeah.
just learn everything via demo, and then we just show up. And thank God Paul's super tight because it's just like Paul, and it just works. Like I mean, it is
It's
what it
kind of
is.
like, yeah, we even went into like, I remember when we got to Chicago the first day of recording the full length, and Andy Nelson recorded us, and he's like, oh, let's get breakfast or whatever, um before we kind of like get to the studio. I was like, okay. So we get there, and he's like, so how you guys feeling with the songs? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, why? I was like, I've never played them. Evan had his own studio, so he'll like demo everything out and program the drums.
Mm,
And we'll go back and forth a little bit, but we don't get too heavy into like the reprogramming the drums or anything like that. So I told Andy that, you know, I've never played the songs before, and his face was definitely kind of like, fuck,
yeah,
but
I could see that maybe.
yeah, but all I banged out all the songs in a day, so that was pretty cool. But we just, with Nick, um, Nick's a shredder. I mean, Chris now plays in the band. Chris plays in Internal Bleeding and stuff too. He's a shredder. Evan's a fucking maniac at guitar, and we all just kind of like, we can lock in super easy. So we just kind of play well with each other, like very very easy. So practice is kind of second. We do have to practice before Europe though.
Is it like what do you like attribute that to, like being able to just lock in like very easily with one another? Is it just because you guys have been playing for so long as individuals, or is it just this cohesive group of dudes that seems to like work best with each other? Or
I think it's probably a mix of both. I mean, Victor, Evan, and Chris and Nick all live on Long Island. So it's like we usually are like, hey, can the strings get together and run the songs, just so they're tight. And then it kind of falls on me
hmm.
to just be tight. And luckily, I mean, with Recon and with World of Pain, luckily Tristan played guitar in World of Payne, he plays in that band Mongrel now. He's super good at guitar, and we could just lock in really easy. And me and Mike from Recon, we could lock in super easy. So, it's really I don't know, maybe it's experience or something. I've been playing in bands since I was like 11 or 12.
Oh, and how old are you
So
now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 36.
Okay.
I don't
Around
know
the
how
same,
old Victor
32.
is.
I'm around the same age. I'm a little older,
Thanks,
a little
dude.
older, but
It's my birthday next week, Paul.
Damn. All right, I'll see you Saturday.
the seventh time will be the birthday party.
Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
Long Island, if you don't know, Long Island is pretty serious about their birthdays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Long Island
Yeah,
thing.
What's that all about? I'm unfamiliar with it because I live in Florida, so
they get so about like we'll get offered like a show offer, and then like Evan will be like, "Oh, I got a birthday party that day," and like I'll be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like oh, it's so and so's birthday, and then Paul just be like, "You fucking dork."
So
Pretty much, yeah.
So
That's how it
birthday
goes.
parties are top tier. Then it shows right after that.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know. I think it's just our friend group, but it's not a Long Island thing. It's just our friend group. It's weird.
Interesting.
But Paul's driving down to Long Island to do Nick's birthday, and not Nick Hansen, our other friend that plays in Final Wrestling Place. He's starting to take part in the birthday thing.
I mean, by all means, we celebrate birthdays too, but I don't know to the degree which you're speaking of. You know what I mean?
It was okay. It was basically we had like some stuff lined up that got okay. Like maybe we'll have to get a fill in or something like that because like someone had a birthday party to go to, and then it seemed every time I would like go to Long Island to either like record or maybe run the songs or something like that, it was like, all right, well, I got time at this time because I got a birthday thing I got to go to tomorrow. It's just like, what is up with you motherfuckers and birthdays? Like, God, dude.
They're very celebratory people, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool.
Well, you guys are coming up on on the debut album. You're going to release your debut album here shortly. Watch Me Bleed, again through Triple B. How'd you guys link up with Triple B? Because obviously you're a relatively new band, COVID band. I'm assuming you were just submitting demos left and right, or was there like some kind of underground uproar that they reached out to you with?
No,
Paul and Call of Duty. Paul
yeah,
and Sam on Call of Duty.
yeah, so no, so Nick obviously we've said it a bunch. Nick plays in Pain of Truth.
Mm-hmm.
I had filled in for them a couple times, and then they did the first Triple B like Europe tour thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just flew out to hang out just because I wanted to, and I met Sam on that tour, and we just kind of clicked. Like he's the homie, like it was like, all right, like I've known you for a day, but we kind of like just kind of, you know what I mean? You meet those people where you're just, that's just like, oh, this is my dude right here. And it was kind of that. So then, yeah, I would talk to him more and more. I'd see him at shows. We started playing Call of Duty a lot. And then he kind of was just like, hey, do you want to do a single? Do you want to put a song out on a flexi? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he just asked, he just goes, let's do an LP. Fuck it, yeah, let's do it. And then that was it. That was really it.
Yeah, that's as easy as it can possibly get.
Yeah.
And you guys released so far as of today when we record this, you guys I think released 2 singles. Today you released one. Numbers on the Board, and that's with you did a collaboration with Gridiron, which by the way, when you popped in, I was like, oh, is this the dude from Gridiron too? Because like you reminded me of him as well, but obviously clearly you're not that guy. So but it's crazy that today you do have a song with them. So how did that, I mean, outside of probably being like in the same wheelhouse as every other like New England hardcore band up there, like how did that come to fruition?
Evan wrote like 90% of the record. And so he was just sending us like demos and stuff. and he sent us the song obviously first, and it just has all these, I don't know if you listen to it or not,
Mm-hmm.
but there's all these kind of changes throughout the song where there'll be a tempo change or a key change or like whatever. And in my head, I did you ever play video games as a kid?
Yeah, currently.
Okay. Okay. I didn't, but the only gaming system me and my brother had when I was a kid was a Super Nintendo. And one of the games we had was Mega Man X. And that game is so fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so this is how my stupid brain works is when I would listen to the song and you would think it was over and then there would be like it would drop down again, there would be a tempo change or something because it happens a couple times. I always thought about how I would be playing that game, I'd beat a boss, and then I'd be like, fuck, finally. And then another boss would pop out and be like, surprise, fucking idiot, and then
Yeah.
I die. So I thought about that, and then I'm just like, instead of having one person on the song, everyone in fucking Gridiron has sick vocals, right? Like Mully sings in Scarab, he's fucking
Mm-hmm.
awesome. You know, X does backups all the time, he's awesome. You know, Will has like the dopest, I think the dopest voice ever, you know, and you know, Carl is Carl, so everything sounds sick. So I just wanted the whole fucking and it's also kind of funny featuring the entire band.
Yeah. On vocals and not doing they're not doing anything else on the
No,
record, right? Yeah, they're
no,
just
it's just
yeah.
No,
yeah,
no.
it's just all vocals. Yeah,
A drummer doing vocals on another song, on another band song is kind of very interesting. I don't think
right.
you don't really have that happen that often.
No, no.
So like say like a casual fan who is unaware of like what Missing Link's sound is, like what would you describe it? Because obviously you have a debut record coming out in the next couple
Mm.
weeks here, I think, beginning of June. So like what would like outside of the two singles that are already currently out, what could like a person expect that's just a casual hardcore fan?
I don't know, Victor. You say something.
Yeah, it's actually you gotta throw me like the hardest question. I don't know. It's weird. Like we all have like these like centerpiece like things that we grew up listening to that I think we like probably why we click like when we're you know playing and stuff like Hundred Demons like Marauder like all these like very like you know standard heavy hardcore bands but
Mm-hmm.
like we also I don't know like I'll sit there and listen to you know like melodic stuff for a month and then like dude we have a song with Matt Kierkegaard from Citizen and it like it works you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean like and it's melodic and it's cool but then like it's such a wide range of you know flavors but it's all compact into this just like cool heavy like ridiculous mosh filled record.
So it's about the
I
mosh.
don't know. That's it. Like I mean, like there's like one song I remember me and Evan wrote, and it's just all like there's so much like pretty parts to it, but it's still like if you're listening to it, you're like, this is so heavy at the same time. It's cool. I don't know.
There's if I'm listening to it like kind of sonically, I can hear all the influences from what everyone's playing. It's because it's not at least from like friends of mine that play music and stuff like that. They always say the same thing is when they bring up Missing Link, they're, you know, initially it's like, oh, it's super heavy, you know, just simple, you know, breakdowns of blah, 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 blah. And then they try and play the songs or they play, not that they're overly complicated or anything like that, but they always come back and say something like, oh, there's way more riffs than I thought.
Mm.
There's way more going on in every song than I thought. Like if you actually listen to the drumming, I'm trying to make it as interesting as possible, you know. Not that I'm like the best drummer ever or anything like that, but just like trying to do some out of pocket stuff. And then you hear the song and it could be, oh, they were definitely listening to like Cryptopsy when they wrote this song.
Yeah.
They were definitely listening to like Marauder when they were writing this song. Just stuff like that.
I gotcha.
So I guess if it's like if no one's heard the band, I'd be like, if you like heavy music played by people that weigh over 200 pounds, then, then I guess that's
If
us,
you, yeah,
dude.
you need a lift in the gym. That's
Yeah,
us.
Yeah,
yeah, for
it's crazy.
sure.
It's a soundtrack for the horseshoe. Um, but yeah, the
There you
thing,
go.
what's really interesting about the current times with like hardcore is like because you mentioned cryptopsy and other like metal influences. There is like a big crossover happening with just like all types of metal and hardcore. Mostly
Hmm.
like death metal and hardcore are really being married together a lot these days.
Some not so good, but some
No,
very good.
you know
Yeah.
it is. They're just throwing it in the. Everyone's throwing everything in the blender. Who knows what's going to happen?
Right.
But
Yeah. Sure.
you guys are relatively well, maybe not Victor, but you're relatively near my age. I turned
Hmm.
40 last year, so that's something that's kind of like I don't know if I missed the ball or missed it when it was happening originally when I was younger, but I don't really remember a lot of like hardcore and like metal crossover going on that frequently. It kind of seemed like oil and water for the most part, and
Yeah.
I was like just moonlighting between both scenes. But it seems like that's going on so prevalently these days. Like, what do you
Yeah.
guys think that's from?
I don't know, man. I think. Did you grow up in Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in upstate New York, and death metal there is huge.
Hmm.
I grew up uh with the skinless guys and stuff like that. I didn't grow up with them because they were older, but like they're
You grew up with
from
that in your life, yeah.
yeah, they're from 5 minutes away from where I grew up. And so the death metal scene there was huge, and I think just I got into hardcore and metal, whatever you want to call it, at such a young age. It didn't really matter like what it was. It's like if it was aggressive and cool, I would go punk, hardcore, death metal,
Yeah.
whatever. I was going, but back in the day, there was no crossover. It was a whole death metal show. It was a whole hardcore show. It was a whole this. And I think getting older, we just kind of said, fuck it. Like I listen to death metals as much as I listen to Hatebreed, as
Mm.
much as I listen to Warzone, as much as I listen to pop music. So why not? Can we put it all together if it fits? Why not? Fuck it. Like it sounds sick if
Yeah,
it's
I
done well.
I feel like I was definitely confused. Like when I was starting to go to shows 14, 15, I was friends with like there was this one death metal band, the Partisan Turbine, that came from Long Island. They got pretty big, I think, and then like it was all related to like suffocation and then like internal bleeding and like stuff like that. And you would go to these like suffocation shows where it's just like, dude, they're playing breakdown after breakdown, but there's no hardcore kids here and it's just push pits. And I'm like, what? Where's like, I don't know. It was a little confusing to me too. But then you would go to like a hardcore show and Animosity would play. I'm like, it's all the same shit. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that was very strange too. Because again, like you guys, when I was younger, I mean, we did have like mixed bills, but they weren't. I guess I wasn't really knowledgeable enough to know like, oh, this band is playing this style and this band is also incorporating this style. It just seemed like
Right.
these were metal bands and these are hardcore bands, and they, and the crowds obviously weren't they weren't really like 100% the same. There was different, like
yeah,
you
they were
said, push
definitely not
pits and hardcore
coexisting.
kids. Yeah, there were like some ninja fighting, and then there was some pushing around. You know what I mean? In some of these shows.
Yeah.
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 And then
So,
there was always a fight.
yeah. There was a lot of that. I mean, there's still a lot of that. You never know, but
Yeah.
it's a violent world in the hardcore world. We'll get into that too. But yeah, I just think it's kind of cool that these genres are crossing and blurring all these lines, and now you have bands that are creating like quote unquote genres that are just these mashed up things.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's sick. I think it's sick.
Yeah, I think, and you guys are from New York, so you guys may enjoy this or be offended by it. I don't know, but I grew up a new metal kid, and hardcore back in the day in the late '80s, '90s just reminded me of new metal, and so it wasn't like a hard crossover for me to like get into hardcore after finding like Limp Bizkit and all those other kind of rap rock bands.
I don't know. I
I
feel like
have a
that's like that's a lot of like I
yeah.
mean you're like you said you're a little bit older but still like I was a kid watching Metal Mistress Julia doing you know like a hardcore band on Uranium and I'm like this is weird like but it's all like cohesive I guess
Mm-hmm.
I
like
had
with new metal.
yeah. I didn't have a new metal like intro because I kind of skipped it a little bit because of a kid I skateboarded with when I was in like fourth grade or something like that. I had an Earth Crisis CD on the
Hmm.
school ride bus home, and I didn't know what Earth Crisis was. I just saw this CD. Well, I'm sorry, I had a Huey Lewis in the News cassette tape, and I had a single of LL Cool J doing it, and I think a Gangster's Paradise single cassette tape, and those were the only pieces of music I owned. And then
It's a
this
great start,
kid
though. It's a great
Jason,
start.
yeah, I mean honestly, yeah. This kid, he had an Earth Crisis CD that was his older cousin's, and I listened to it, and I was like aware of like aggressive music, but not.
Do you remember which album, the Earth Crisis album, it was?
It was Gomar Season Ends,
Okay.
and I heard it, and thought to myself, this is insane. I need to find this. So my brother and I'll probably talk about my brother's awesome. He's a year older than me. We played in bands and stuff like that. But went to a used CD store and I bought Pantera Far Beyond Driven because it had a skull with a drill on it. And I found the Earth Crisis CD, and that was my intro to like music, really. So later when Korn, and I was into Korn, and I was into like, I liked Marilyn Manson just because he was like crazy.
Yeah, provocative and just in your face.
It
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the music, it was like the craziness aspect of it. And I liked Korn, but really that was like kind of it. I didn't really delve into like I we just played a show last weekend and someone covered
Lincoln
Lincoln
Park.
Park.
Lincoln Park, yeah. A band covered Lincoln Park, and I on my dog's life, I have never listened to Lincoln Park like outside of it being on the radio.
Right.
And people are like, "Oh, like this record's so good." I'm like, "I bet it is. It just missed me. I was already going to hardcore shows
Yeah.
at like 12 years old, you know, and I just got an early start. And it's not that I never bring that up as like a I'm like I think it's cool. I just missed it. I never, you know, I listen to it now and I think it's fucking rad.
Yeah, the funny part
No, I
is,
was totally in middle school. I was totally in middle school and bought hybrid theory, and it was fucking so sick.
yeah, it
I
still
still
is.
until today.
It still is sick. Yeah. The funny part about that is too is like if you would have said that you were listening to like Earth Crisis Slither, I'd have been like, how the hell did you miss the new metal phase? Because
Yeah,
that's
no.
basically like a new metal record for them.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
No, that's crazy though. I forgot that you guys played that showcase over the weekend there where
Yeah.
fuck, what is the band we posted about him? The relatively new band. They had like they had everyone clean up
Torture?
after. No, that also went like viral recently from that show too.
Yeah.
Final resting place.
Oh, Clock Tower.
Clock Tower.
Okay.
Yeah,
No, Clock Tower. It's Jay Belmore is like kind of. I don't know if it's a joke band, but it might be a joke band.
Yeah.
I mean,
Belmore is sick though.
Yeah, Belmore is sick.
for sure. Yeah, and they headlined the whole or the one day. I think they headlined the one of the days, right?
Okay. This is my old guy coming out. I play in another band with Jay from Clock Tower called Eyeball, and so I know Jay. He's fucking awesome. Balmore's awesome. He's a super good guitar player, but it's like, you know, Clock Tower plays and they're like kind of throwing trash all over the place, and they're
That's
throwing.
what we were reporting. Yeah.
But I'm like, yeah, I remember when like dudes were throwing like metal folding chairs hard into the crowd of people, not like
Yeah.
people kind of like they're kind of like in my brain. I hope they had a great time. I hope all the kids had a great time and everything like that. So I'm like outside like by myself like, damn, if I got a bag of trash fucking thrown at me, I was like, oh fuck that, dude. I
Yeah.
would be so mad. And then I'm kind of like, so you guys kind of trashed the venue, but then you guys like cleaned it up really quick after you played. So, because other bands played after them,
Right.
which is respectful. That's awesome. But I'm kind of like, man, if you're gonna do it, like, fucking destroy the venue, dude. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, do it like we used to fucking pull down the drop ceiling.
Venue
and get
killer or
venues.
not.
Yeah, venue killer or not, like it would happen. But
Yeah.
but I'm glad all the shit is like the show was cool. Both days were I went both days. They were fucking rad, so
Yeah, we had
it was
That
cool.
beer racks place is sick too.
Yeah.
yeah, it looked like a really cool place. Obviously with like the barrels and everything like that, and the brewery vibe, warehouse vibe. Um, yeah, it's a very touchy subject about like thrashing everything and then leaving it or cleaning it up because you want to be able to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
more shows, right? And you don't want like the guy to. It's going to be really hard to be like, "Hey, business owner, I know, but this is just how we do it." Like
Yeah,
people beat
yeah.
each other up and we wreck things, but they'll come every time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard. It's a hard sell, That's all.
I guess I'm coming from like being on tour and playing in like fucking some fucked off town in the middle of nowhere. And
Never
and you
coming
start
back.
ringing out. Yeah, you start ringing out and playing, and you just see a bar stool fly through the air, and you're like, "Oh, the show's gonna be cool." And then the venue gets ruined, and then you're like, "Wow, that was awesome. See you in 10 months when
Yeah,
we're out here on tour again at a different venue because this one got shut down."
yeah. It's one of those things. Like moshing is always like, and I have this, the Twitter discourse, as they say, about
Okay.
moshing is it goes, it's like full circle every day. Every day there's a complaint, and then whatever it gets debated, and it's back to the same complaint over and over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
But I try to like you not be the old guy and just be like, because I remember it just I don't, and I could be just you know compartmentalizing and not remembering correctly, but I just don't remember things getting like as crazy as some of the things do nowadays. And I wonder if it's because well,
What
you're
part
also
of Florida?
yeah. See, that's the thing. You're from New York, and so it might have
But
been
what
North Florida.
I've played some fucking crazy shows at like what was that the coffee place in Jacksonville,
Fuel.
Fuel Coffee House. Recon played some fucking bangers there.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it was timid. You know what I mean? But I also think
Yeah,
that sometimes like the younger generation, the kids that are coming up now, they see TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and like you know, mosh di- mo- mosh videos do very well on those things because it is so like
sure.
Yeah.
wild to the normal person who doesn't know anything about it. And I don't know if like kids just come in going like I'm just gonna like go balls to the wall all the time, and then
Yeah.
like you said, you get hit with a bag of trash or something like that, and next thing you know you're like, oh, I'm not having as much fun. But it's part of the whole thing, and that's like the love hate relationship I have with it because I also like to be in the crowd, not
Yeah.
in the back. I don't want to be in the shits anymore. I'm older than that, but I've gotten crowd killed in the last year. I've gotten busted
Yeah.
up, so I'm
I
taking
guess it's
taking the
I
lumps.
guess it's the difference between like the perfect example. The show in Connecticut I played. I mean, our block went Missing Link, Final Resting Place, Sanction, and I actually played bass for Sanction at the show. And like kids were killing each other, all three bands, you know. But then also I'm like a 250 pound man,
Yeah.
and this is the Northeast, and all of my other friends at the show are like the same. I'm like, man, if I was like acting the way I acted when these kids are at the show, when I was like these kids' age, I was like, I would murder these people.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like when people are like, man, it's so crazy, people are doing these things. I'm like, yeah, it's like crazy, but it's kind of like a more instead it's a bag of trash being thrown instead of a full metal bar stool,
Yeah, and
like
a lot of people were like, citing the Bad Luck 13 extravaganza riots and stuff like that, or their shows in general. And I was like, I thought back, and I was like, because I was lucky enough or dumb enough, you could say, to go to like Hellfest 2004 and watch that
yeah,
live. You know
yeah.
what I
That's so
mean?
sick.
So like, and I remember someone asked me on Twitter like, where were you at? Like they wanted to know like where I was, and I was like, the only thing I really really remember is being behind the bleachers at one point because shit got like fucking nuts, and I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on? And at the time, I wasn't even really familiar with Bad Luck, so like, it's like one of their last shows, or at the time one of their last shows, or whatever the hell it was, and it just went off, and the Rexplex was such a weird and amazing place. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking
I,
about or
I
whatever.
went I went there once. Yeah.
But like I was trying to tell him, like, yeah, I was standing behind the bleachers, but like standing behind the bleachers isn't like standing behind the bleachers next to the wall. It's like, oh no, the paintball the paintball park or the fucking
Yeah.
skate park is right behind me. It's like full on
Right.
open, you know what I mean? So like it wasn't like I was hiding. It just was like that might be the safest place to like not get hit with
Yeah.
anything being thrown around. So it wasn't just me, it
Right.
was a lot of us back there. But that was a wild thing, you know.
I think it's also hard. Kids aren't stupid. We have my buddy Dan, Jake. There's a couple other Scanlon. They all own a venue out on Long Island called Amityville Music Hall. It's actually getting renovated. Kids kind of know like you don't cross that line in that venue because it's hardcore kids. At the end of the day, running that venue. When it's like there was a venue down the block from there called the Crazy Donkey, like dickhead bouncers constantly like beating on kids, and it's
Yeah.
like, let's go fuck this place up while On Broken Wings is playing, because fuck these, like that's just kind of where kids aren't that stupid. They know where to do it and where not to do it.
For sure. I
Yeah.
totally. And some places you see it more crazier than others, and I'm fully aware
Yeah.
of that. Yeah. God, what was I gonna say? What was I gonna ask you about? So like because like the other thing that I think that hardcore has issues with internally or as a whole package together is everyone wants every hardcore band to be successful, but not too successful. We don't want it. We don't want the scene too big.
Five Finger
Yeah.
Death Punch.
Yeah, we don't want it
Yeah.
big, but then like next thing you know, like you got to have bands that are big to get people in and to keep the money kind of not I hate saying the money moving, but you have to have
It's
money in and
true.
out.
I think it comes down to, I'm sure you've heard it, everyone's heard it. Hardcore is for everybody, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So once bands get to a certain point and it bleeds over into the outside world populace, because again, I'm 36 years old, I'm a business owner, I talk to people every single day, I'm a barber, like, and I could try and explain what I do with the band. Like I could try till my face is blue, and no one's gonna understand. If they don't get it, they don't understand. So I think the whole idea when you're saying like everyone wants the band to do well and get big and get to a certain point, but then they don't want it to get like to that point, I think it's because when bands reach that threshold and they step over it and they start playing and they start getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then it's like you can't go to a show and throw a trash can.
Yeah.
You
true.
can't, you can't go see even outside of hardcore, you can't go see a whatever the genre of music and see the band that you want to see easily, or the show is just filled up with like people that aren't of your cut from the same cloth
Right.
that you're cut from, and that's not all go to a show, beat the shit out of everybody and leave. It's just go to a show, watch a band and have a good time, whether that's sitting at the bar, sitting in the back, buying your shirt, stage diving, just having a good time. Once you get to that threshold of, oh, they've gotten too big, this isn't fun anymore, that's when people kind of get pissed, I guess.
Yeah. I think mainly what I shouldn't say like big. I shouldn't say like popular or whatnot, but let's say like Hatebreed's a bad example. But like let's say
Knock Loose is in the normie realm now. You could use them.
Well, yes, I agree. But I don't even
Like,
necessarily know if they were like a
coworkers I
hardcore
work-
band, really, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but like coworkers that I work with are like, oh, like you like Knock Loose? Like people have never been to a show, like they're getting
That's their
flavor of that life. Yeah,
that's the litmus the little litmus paper for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally I get that. But again, like any band, right? Name any band mid-tier level, right? Like you want to keep going to those shows or keep supporting that band, but like that band also can't probably do that for fucking 20 years at whatever level. You know what I mean? So
Right,
like,
yeah.
That's kind of where I was kind of aiming that at, not necessarily like, oh, Turnstile or, another band of that kind of nature where they're like definitely crossed over, definitely making money and definitely, showcasing hardcore or their version of hardcore to the entire world at a much broader spectrum. But I mean, like, just bands that we all kind of like a band like On Broken Wings, right? Like, there was no way that they could probably just continue doing that for 20 years straight at that particular
Right.
pace or level. You know what I mean? Like, you either have to go to the next level or just, hiatus
Yeah.
forever. So that's the kind of thing that I always find that is interesting within hardcore, because it is such more of like a DIY small venue, you know, ecosystem, that it's like, it's really strange to see when bands do get successful and what that success is, you know what I mean, for like
Yeah.
hardcore.
I think that's why when people see hardcore bands have Taco Bell ads, when hardcore, you know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
no, I do
when
know what you're
hardcore
saying.
when hardcore bands, shit, some of our friends' bands played that huge fest in Vegas, and
The
like
Sick New
that just
World
happened
thing?
a couple weeks. Yeah, yeah.
Sick New
And
World, or the emo one? Sorry.
I think the Sick New World one.
Okay, because there's
Bands
like
like, like Tsunami played
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that, and like there was some money being paid out, and it's and I'm sure to like maybe a younger kid who's into hardcore would find that out and be like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like that's like mainstream. But me being like, I'm like, yo, like my fucking dogs just played for 20 minutes and got paid and got the fucking bag, you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like and I think in theory people want to see their peers and every other band do so good up until it inconveniences them, you know,
I
in
get that.
any certain way,
Yeah. Like Speed is a great example too. You know what I mean? Because Speed's a
Yeah.
great hardcore band, not even from America, and they're like fucking the next
They got a
big thing.
they got a
Nike
shoe.
ads and
Yeah,
They
shit.
got a fucking shoe, dude.
yeah. But again,
Yeah.
like, where do they fit? They're not even like one of the biggest
I think,
American
yeah,
bands.
I don't know. It's definitely weird too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I want to pay off my fucking loans and shit, but like, yo, when we do weekends, like, what we get paid is like our flights, and that's it. Like, it's our own money. Like, we're all taking off work, and we're all like technically losing money when we do it. And I guess that might be like appealing to some people, but it also like it gets hard when you do it 4 fucking weekends in a row, and you're like, you know, I could have made like an extra couple grand, picking up overtime, and like I do a lot of bartending, and I run ferries. Like I could be making a lot of money on those weekends, but I choose to go hang out with my best friends and play breakdowns and watch kids go nuts because it's fucking fun.
Why is that? Why is that, Victor? Why do we all just want to, like, keep ourselves kind of curbed a little bit like that?
It's the fucking core, dude. I don't know, man. I mean, as much as I fight with
Wait, you're saying
everyone in this band, everyone, as much as me and Paul want to kill each other, at the end of the day, once
okay.
we start playing, we look at each other. It's fun. It's fucking great, and it's like you
Yeah,
can't. I don't know. It's like it's the sickest feeling.
I think my yeah, just what Victor said. Every day I'm not at work, I lose money. So, but I also don't value work at all. I do, like I do what I do as a profession so I can take the time off to do what I want to do, whether it be build a motorcycle because I do that, or take time off to just do nothing, or go play a show, or go on tour, or do whatever. I think because I've been doing that for so long, I don't know anything I'd rather be doing because I get to travel to cool places with my best friends. I get to meet up with other friends I've met along the way. And I mean, playing the shows, we say this all the time. Playing the shows are dope, but it's always kind of like that's like kind of second. That's like takes a back seat now. Now it's all about, oh, cool. Like I get to go to the airport with, like I get to fly with Victor to Europe and
Yeah.
go hang out with my stupid friend who I argue with all the time over dumb shit, but we at least get to go do it in Paris
Yeah,
and in London.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like what else would I be doing? Because I talk to normie people every single day, and they're fucking boring. Their lives are fucking boring. These
Yeah.
people go to work, they hate their fucking job, they hate their wives, they hate their girlfriends, they hate their children, and that's all they do. And they drink too much beer, and that's it.
Yeah, you can do all
And
those
so,
things at a hardcore show though, and get that aggression out. You can drink a lot of beer if you want, hate your family, hate your kids and friends. Take that
yeah,
aggression out on something or
and I
somebody.
and I honestly think as like maybe as lame or corny as it sounds, it's an outlet that people have that if they everyone has had their friends who have cycled in and cycled out of hardcore or punk or
Hmm.
whatever you want to call it. But the guys that are around, I just talked about this the other day with someone at the show who's like around my age. It was like, I think it was Lumpy from who does Days
Days,
and
yeah.
plays in Sanction stuff. Like, we don't gotta be doing this. But
No,
it's
yeah.
like, like what else are we gonna? This is fun. Like I get to see my friends. I get to play a show. I get to like, I've I. I've played drums my whole life, but I also played guitar a little bit, and I also played bass a little bit. So like, I got to go play for Lumpy's band, and it was fun as hell. I'm just fucking ripping bass. Like I don't give a shit. Like this was awesome. And I think it gives an outlet of a more fulfilled feeling of like life if you want to like get deep and everything like that than just fucking I don't know, going to work and going home and
I mean, you could
that's
do
it.
that. Anyone can do that, 24/7.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is a weird thing, and I think being the age that I am, and that you're close to me as well. I think that hardcore, especially for like I guess our like the wave that I was a part of. It wasn't the original wave, obviously, but it was probably like the 20 year, like the first 20 year cycle wave, right? So like I wasn't in the
Sure.
80s or 90s, but I was definitely late 90s, 2000s. So
Yeah, same.
like there was nobody continually doing that other than like maybe like two bands, like Hatebreed and like any like Agnostic Front and Madball. Like by all means, like most of those hardcore bands from the first clump of wave of bands didn't really continue on past the 90s, past 2000s. There's only a handful of them, but now you see a lot of reunions going on of those bands because the scene is more fruitful. It's bigger. I think hardcore is bigger than
Mm,
it's been ever right now because more
yeah,
people know
I
about it.
agree.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing or a good thing. Obviously, more like we were just talking about, more people come in, more the economy of hardcore, which sounds really
Yeah, it
stupid.
ebbs it ebbs and
Right.
flows.
We're on an up. We're outside right now. So, but I think the cyclical nature of just music in general, and like you said, some guys got out of hardcore, and I know a lot of people that were in bands when I was in my early 20s and late teens, and people that would go to shows and stop going to shows because they got someone pregnant or they got married or they had kids, or whatever. But now, even those people, they may have not, they may have moonlighted, listening to the bands they used to, the bands they liked, or maybe they even went a step further and found new bands, which is, few and far between for some of those people that check out. But
Yeah.
now we're back to where those kids are, old enough to go to college, and those people, whether they're 35 to 45, can come back out and start going to shows again,
Yeah.
and you see that,
Some of them do.
yeah, and you
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
that. So, it's just very strange because like 25 years ago, I don't think I would have. I don't know if I would have thought Hatebreed would still be around, and especially to the level they're at now. But here we are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, there is something to be said the fact that, our band can book 3 shows on the West Coast and, no one wants to talk about money, but you always got to talk about money. It is
Yeah,
what it
that's the
is, you
problem. But
know?
that's the big problem I think that is with
Yeah,
hardcore.
it's fine. Dude, it's fine talking about money. Who gives a shit? Like, don't be a fucking asshole about it, but like, if it's awesome. We could book 3 shows on the West Coast, make enough money to pay for our flights, pay for hotels, pay for the rental car, and pay back the merch bill, and maybe have some money left over to pay for the next flights. Like I do all the band's finances and stuff like that, And it's awesome that we just got an Ibanez endorsement and got some guitars for the guitar players. You know, we had enough money to buy all of our plane tickets over to Europe. And none of that money came out of our pocket. Sure, the time we're all over there in Europe, we're not going to be getting paid. Our singer's a barber too. Evan might have vacation time, but Chris doesn't. I'm sure doesn't have vacation time. Victor might, but he's probably used it all up by now. So it's shit like that. That's like hardcore is dope because it's so big right now that we could get enough. We can make enough to make it worth it. And us 36-year-olds who maybe have cycled out by now, 15, 20 years ago, because you can't do stuff for no money anymore. Now the money's kind of flowing a little bit better. It makes it worthwhile.
Yeah.
It's
an awkward conversation to have within the hardcore scene because everything is built
yeah.
hardcore is built on like the DIY culture, the anti-establishment, anti-political, or very very vocal about certain topics. And I think
Right.
like, when you start bringing up economics and financial stability of this, that, or the other, that goes right out the window when you're talking to like hardcore crews. But like you said,
Yeah.
you have to look at it like, if you want bands to be around, you have to kind of have that
Yeah.
conversation. It can't all just be like local bands 24/7, just constantly
Yeah,
churning and churning.
I think we had a conversation. I think it was with Paul a couple weeks ago, and I was saying how like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I was looking at. I mean, I'm friends with Dan and Incendiary, and I know you just had Brian on. I was like, do they have the coolest setup? They're probably I would consider them one of the top 10 hardcore bands like right now, like popularity wise. They're like teachers, full-time job people, and they are able to do it just straight off of vacation time and like shit like that. And I'm like, man, if I could just like that would be sick. And we're kind of, I mean, by no means are we as big as Incendiary, but we're playing that game of we're able to get in a hopefully even bigger hardcore band. We're getting there, and we're doing it on weekends.
Yeah.
And 1 week in Europe, but.
I mean, there's a lot of like New Yorker
Cool.
bands are doing that a lot. Like the Hudson Valley Mind Force boys are also doing some similar shit.
Crush Your Soul, shout out.
Yeah. Pillars of Ivory, all of them, all of the bands.
Yeah, they're all sick.
Yeah.
Everything Jay does is pretty fucking sick.
I agree.
Hang on.
And I also agree
Hang
that
on.
Incendiary is probably one of the top tier hardcore bands currently. But that's the thing. Like, hey, there you go. What kind of dog we got?
It's a bully.
Okay.
She was being annoying, so I had to show her what's going on.
It happens. I have 3 dogs in the other room. I don't know if you heard them barking earlier, but I was like, oh my God, they're going off. I don't know if someone walked by the door or whatever, but I was like, oh boy. But yeah, no, lost my train of thought now that the dog popped in, but
Sorry.
fucking A. I do
I
want
should have brought Lloyd. It made a real shit show.
we can just invite all our pets inside.
A dog podcast.
Yeah.
It would have been sick.
It's a dogcast. No, the cool thing is though, hardcore is very
Incendiary and all that shit.
yeah. Hardcore is here to stay for the most part. I would assume so, and it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next 20 years with hardcore and like how it grows or how it shrinks. You never know. I mean, ebb and flow, like you said.
I think it's. I mean, shit. We just played Crusher Soul. Jay Mind Force's other band just played their first show with us in Jersey, and they were playing it, and he said something like just he's like, hardcore is cool, hardcore is it, and no one wants to talk about money. He's like, but get your fucking money, fuck that. He's like, you talk about it, it's okay. Again, I think it all comes down to context. If you're sitting there like saying, oh, my band made so much money, these fucking idiots bought all my t-shirts, and you're disrespectful about it or something, I think that puts a whole different connotation on it. But if you're getting asked, like we get asked to play shows all the time, and and we have to be like, hey, Mike lives 6 hours away. I live 3. You're asking us to go play a show on a Thursday in Altoona, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, it's not going to work out. Or if you want us to play, it's going to be you know,
X amount.
it's gonna cost us X amount to even get there, you
Right.
know. So
Yeah, and you know, touching back on like the size of a popularity of a band, and like you know, Victor, you brought up Knocked Loose, and like they're very interesting. That's a very interesting band, right? Because like you said, they are definitely more like they've crossed over into the normal culture of, you know, radio, Sirius XM. You know, they touring with Slipknot. You know what I mean? They do songs,
Yeah, they're becoming career,
musicians.
whatever you want a genre, put them in, but they're becoming career musicians,
Yeah,
and they're doing well.
and
Good for them.
they do songs with fucking Poppy on this last record, Motionless in White, and everything like that. But then again, in the same breath, they take out bands like Show Me the Body and Speed, and you know, they even have a show coming up with like Poison the Well and some other, you know, like more quote unquote legacy style bands that they're kind of giving love to. So like, I think, you know, as much maybe flack as some people might give that band, they do a lot for the heavier side of music, and you know, someone's got to do it, and someone's got to take the brunt of the shit for it too. But you know, in the long run, it'll be a better thing in general for everyone.
yeah. What is it?
Yeah, you're also talking to like the two biggest haters, like me
No,
and
no,
Paul
but
love to just
I'm
like
a hater. I'm a
me
hater.
and Paul
I gotta juggle.
love
Listen.
like something that got brought up. We'll just start dogging on it, but I'll definitely give not. I mean, my buddy's their tour manager, Jake Zimmerman, and he introduced me to the drummer. We were out and doing the fest in Kentucky, and he brought us to the drummer's bar. Like super awesome dude. Sit there and talk to him all night. You know what I mean? Like sorry.
I love hating on shit, but I'm also I'll give the flowers where the flowers are due type of thing, you know. It's not, if you're talking about Knocked Loose, it's not like they randomly popped up and got as big as they were. They toured forever. My old band in California played a burger shack with them.
Yeah, I mean they've
Literally,
been around
like
like
a
15 years or something.
I don't know if they've been around that long because I think they're too young to be around 15 years, but they put in work and they toured hella crazy, and they, you know, and good for them. But I'll still hate on whatever the fuck I want to hate on because
No,
that
no.
shit's just fun.
Hey, the player haters ball was a great
Yeah,
skit.
you're fucking Lambgoat, dude. You got the biggest platform for people to just be pieces of fucking trash, dude.
That happens.
Like,
Anonymously.
That happens.
dude.
But that happens
Yeah.
that happens everywhere else. You know what I mean?
Not on the
Yeah.
extent of Lambgoat,
Well,
though.
I think what happens is here's what I've kind of come to
it's a
realize.
bit at this point.
There are definitely bits, but there are also like bands know that other bands read the comments too. So there are like there are buddies, like buddies of yours or buddies of other bands. They're gonna go in there and say some stuff too. Hey, we got
We're
a
talking
third
about
one.
Lambgo comments, dude.
You popped in at the right time.
What?
Lambgo comments.
That's awesome.
We just were joined.
Oh, Nick.
No, it sucks.
We just got joined by Nick here at the very end of the podcast, but that's okay. That's okay.
Typical Nick in Missing Link fashion. I'm always not there.
Hey, at least you got a little bit of FaceTime.
What did you say?
So at least you got a little bit of FaceTime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think the comments is it's a thing that's been around on Lambgoat forever, and that's not gonna change, obviously. But
No.
I think it became like, you know, bands fucking with other bands, and then other people just kind of like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna fuck with the band too, and that's why when certain things become like somewhat personal, it's not just some crazy random internet person. It's somebody you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was for years. It was like, you know, way back, if Recon was ever doing a tour, it would get posted and there would be, oh, this tour is going on with this band Recon. I'd always be low key kind of like, damn, they're gonna fucking dog us, you know. And anytime any of my bands has ever been posted on Lambgoat, I'm like, damn, it's just a shit show of like
Yeah.
it's just an open door to just get shit on for no reason. It's funny. I mean, I don't take any of it seriously, but it's funny.
Yeah, and half the time it's just your boy fucking trolling you, egging on everyone else to just start talking shit.
Yeah. Also, now that I'm behind the curtain, right? Because before like 2021 or 2022, I didn't know who was doing what on the back end, right? So now that now that we took over Lambgoat and I, have all the access I need, it's wild that you'll see like people have conversations with themselves as multiple different people. So it's like, okay, this is the one.
Really?
Yeah. It's just like one guy in like a thread, just like.
So you got the IP addresses?
Yeah, I got all that.
Can I get an address or 3?
That doesn't necessarily mean they're not using VPNs or any kind of like blocking, but I can get. Yeah, they definitely do have that.
Shoo!
But it is what it is, fellas. The comments are the comments, and they're not going anywhere. Unfortunately, they're moderated. They're moderated.
Ain't what it ain't.
Yeah, some bands or some record labels, they do have issue, and they don't want to necessarily be posted about on Lambgoat. But I say Lambgoat is we entered our 25th year this year, right? So we've been around 25 years.
That's crazy.
As a website, there's a database of everything, or not everything, but of the things that have gone on within the metalcore, hardcore world in that time frame on the website. So I'm going to continue that going. So if it hurts your feelings to get posted about, don't come to Lambgoat and read the comments, because I'm going to post about it anyway. Has nothing to do with like screwing you over or anything like that. It's just about like, if I got like a quarter of a century of data or like things that could possibly be looked back on in 75 years and be like, oh yeah, fucking this band started in 2000. I can go check that out and read about it. We're going to keep that going.
I've looked back on it just to find like old tour dates and stuff like that.
Yeah, or posters or certain things like that you can find. Yeah. It's kind of like a wiki, a really shitty wiki that's really bad. You can't search it really well, but it's all in there.
Yeah. It's there.
It's there.
I mean, I still wish MySpace was like didn't get destroyed, because there's a lot of use of like older hardcore bands that like I've lost throughout the years, and I knew it was still on MySpace. You could rip it off of there, but like it's almost impossible to do now.
Whenever I talk about MySpace, it's always like, dude, no one has been able to recreate what they did for like music. And maybe it was more so because like that was how like my band was networking and booking shows and tours and stuff like that. But holy shit, did MySpace make it almost damn near easy to contact any band in any other state.
Oh yeah.
You could search by a genre and stuff, and that was just crazy. So, you could go like, hey, what are the top 10 bands in Georgia for metal or hardcore or deathcore or whatever the fucking genre is. And, it would show you like who's got as many friends and who has these many plays. And so you can kind of like book a show, book a tour, book everything.
Yeah.
Nothing like that's been recreated.
Yeah.
That shit was dope. I remember dropping like when our I think Recon's full length came out. I remember when we dropped a song or the record came out or something like that. We were on tour. We're like, oh shit, it's up. And then watching like the play count and everything like that just like go up because it was like such a boost in the like at the time and stuff. It just be like, this is the craziest thing ever. Yeah. And then
that's how I found Recon was via MySpace. I heard 13 on someone's like profile song.
Yeah, profile songs.
Yeah, profile songs.
Yeah.
That was sick, dude.
How intrusive was
dude,
that?
Abacab, fucking all these old like
Abacab was a big
bands.
one.
That was all via fucking so good. Lilo Dallas. That was like a secret MySpace band.
Yeah, the profile song was so intrusive. Back in the day, you just click on someone's page and it's blaring some fucking song out of you. That's crazy.
I loved it.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. There should be something somewhat like that.
How's your day?
It's great. I never had a MySpace, so I don't know what to say right now.
It's all good.
Nick's the oldest looking in the band, but the youngest one.
Oh yeah.
Nice. Can you drink at least?
Yeah, I could drink sometimes. Whatever.
Nice. Legally?
No.
Oh, even better.
But I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, sitting in a boiling hot van right now. So that's how my day's going.
Nice. Is that where do you live there in Little Rock?
No, I'm on tour with my other band right now.
Oh, cool. I literally just had a podcast with a guy in Little Rock Monday. A guy, Brett from Paul Bear.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, it was really funny, actually. Actually, it's a really good record, too. I don't know if you guys listen to Paul Bear, but it's a droney kind of like, sad metal stuff, so you can check it out.
Oh, cool. Right up Paul's alley.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
All right, boys. Well, that's what an hour plus looks like. Nick, you have any final words since you didn't get any, a lot of FaceTime over the last, 60 minutes?
I just hope that more people talk shit about Missing Link on Lambgoat threads.
I will say this. If they're not talking anything, fellas, if they're not saying anything, that's worse.
Yeah.
That's worse.
I want them to talk more about Mike's old band. That's what I want them to talk
Sacred
about.
Pledge.
Yeah.
Sacred Pledge is sick. I don't care.
Someone will find it. Someone will find
Someone
it.
will talk about it.
Ask and you shall receive, fellas.
If this even is still being recorded, you guys should check out Soulless. It's a new band that's coming out of Connecticut. Members of Late to Rest.
Yeah,
Check
if
it
you
out.
guys want to
I
like
just heard it. It's fucking sick.
we do like to keep our ear to the ground. So if you guys do have some, like you said, Solus is a new band coming out. That's good. If you have any more, obviously we're all ears.
Yeah, there's this band, Missing Link. We got a record coming out June 6th or 7th or
7th,
something.
yeah.
Check it out.
Through Triple B. Cool. Stick around for 3 seconds afterwards, and then then I'll cut you loose. But thanks for coming on the show. And again, like I said, Missing Link, June 7th, Triple B, new record. You got 2 singles out currently, but by the time this comes out, who knows? You may have another one, but the record won't be out. So definitely pick that up and check it out.
Hell yeah.
Dues.